Welcome, everyone. In this presentation, we will be sharing the results from a survey that we sent out to our business continuity managers. This is a case study that we implemented to get a general idea of what the hits and misses are within our BCP program. But first, let's start with a few introductions. Here is a beautiful view of Sac State, nestled in a forest of trees across from the American River and the Guy West Bridge connecting the two banks. A fun fact is that the Guy West Bridge is a replica of the Golden Gate Bridge and is named after Sac State's first president, Guy West.
Hi, I'm Super Don.
And I'm Captain Macy. Don and I both work together in risk management at Sac State, and we help implement the BCP program along with our fearless leader and BCP coordinator, Todd Dingot, the director of risk management. Today, the topics that we will be covering are mission critical employees, plans and procedures, remote access and equipment, ergonomics, workload, communication, and finally takeaways. The time frame in which the survey captured was from the beginning of the pandemic, which was March 2020 to present. And the goal of the survey was to help identify the hits and misses of our BCPs. The survey contained 21 questions that are either yes and no's, multiple choice, percentages, and or fill-ins. In respect to everyone's time and workload, we did not ask for details or an explanation for each of the questions, so we won't be able to provide as much thorough information as we wanted to. The survey was sent out to our 98 BCP managers. We had a great response rate of 49%. As you can see, the majority of the respondents were directors and staff, respectively 14 and 12. We also had 3 other quality ready users that participated in our survey to add an outside perspective. And those universities are Boise State University, CSU Chico, and CSU Monterey Bay. We would like to thank you so much for participating in our survey.
Yes, thank you so much.
22 out of the 49 departments identify as having mission critical employees. The term mission critical refer to those who are essential and work on campus. These are the top 7 departments with 50% or more mission critical employees. EH&S, which is Environmental Health and Safety, the Bursar's Office, and Facilities Management are the top 3 departments with 100% of their employees who were required to work on campus. The quality participants identify as having mission critical employees as well, and altogether their average is around 57%.
So one of the questions we asked to start with was, is your Sac State Ready BCP current? So we kind of stole the Quali Ready and made it Sac State Ready. As you can see, 86% stated yes, 14% stated no. Although the status of the BCP is current, it may not have all the information needed to cope during the pandemic. For example, many of our departments only listed 1 to 3 critical functions to begin with. Since we started our program last year, this was a way to get them moving forward with the BCP program. Also, we found that the how to cope section may not have been thoroughly thought through for a pandemic. The next thing we asked is, did you refer to your BCP during this pandemic? Although the status, even though the BCP was current, almost half of them did not refer to their BCP, possibly due to the fact that they did not know how to use it or activate it. Our quality participants all stated that their BCP was not current. 2 of the 3 stated that they referred to their BCP. I think the third one didn't state it because I asked the question, did you refer to Sac State Ready BCP, and forgot to change it on our survey. So, oops, sorry guys. The other question we asked is, during the pandemic, was it necessary to update your BCP? 31% said yes, 69% said no. Some of the updates that were there, and this was probably more than likely 51% of the people that actually referred to the BCP followed through on this question. But some of the updates that they stated were the contacts, technology, file management, and the work from home policy. 2 of the 3 quality participants needed to update their BCP as stated in their participation in the survey. As you can see, on an average, 90% of the respondents stated that they had Wi-Fi in place. This is one of the things we wanted to check on and make sure that everyone was kind of ready to go into the work from home mode. A few of them needed upgrades and installs. IRT, our IRT, which is IT department, we call it Information Resource Technology, IRT, also offered hotspots to those who needed them, which was about 20%. We found too that to address student and employee access issues, Sac State's IRT installed Wi-Fi in one of our newest parking structures. And to ensure everyone's safety, the campus police patrolled the structure on a regular basis. 97% of our quality participants had Wi-Fi in place, 23% needed upgrades, and 10% required a hotspot. As you can see here, the other question was what connectivity software was needed in order to work remotely. Global Protect is our VPN connection, which is a crucial software to be installed, that is installed to create a secure VPN connection and to maintain data security. 90% utilize that software. 43% uses Citrix, which is both a virtual desktop emulator and allows access to personal cloud folders that is stored in our campus U drive. And then 86% utilize the shared drive, which contains the majority of the campus documents and can be accessed using Global Protect VPN. Our department computer laptops, we have 69% of them were department owned, 27% needed to borrow them from IRT, and then 12% needed to purchase them. Some of our departments actually replaced desktops with laptops during their equipment upgrades, which helped them to prepare for working remotely. The other is personal laptops. Since some people actually use the personal laptops, IRT recommend that Global Protect VPN be installed to allow the safe and secure connection to campus networks. 90% of our quality participants had their own computers, and a small percentage need to borrow and purchase computers as well. Our next question was what IRT assistance was needed to install or connect. And this was 41% needed assistance and 59% said not. IRT assisted with different softwares as far as installing software, Global Protect, install and connect, shared drive mapping and connecting, and the Avia phone cloud system installed and usage, which is our phone system. And it allows us to forward our desk phones to cell phone or a predefined phone call tree.
Right. Prior to the pandemic, ergonomic review were conducted in person in an individual's workstation located on campus. Currently, ergonomic reviews are done via Zoom. From March 2020 to present, we have conducted 38 reviews. And we also offer ergonomic training during our noontime wellness program. A good example of our employee ergonomic training is the 20-20-20 rule, which states that for an individual to look at an object that is 20 feet away for 20 seconds every 20 minutes. This helps to prevent dry eyes and eye strain. When it was absolutely necessary, we provide the following accommodations, such as chairs, footrest, mouse, keyboard tray, desk or small table, or sit and stand workstation. The chairs and footrest and mouse, those items, the individual can retrieve them from their own office on campus. And as for the sit stand workstation, the individual will have to go through a process to get approved. And that process is the ADA reasonable accommodation. Sorry, the following information is, I just wanted to let you guys remember that the following information is from the time period of March 2020 to present. And we had a total of 18 claims filed for workers' comp. 3 of those were cumulative injuries. Some of you may know what cumulative is. If not, it is a type of worker's injury that arises from the repetition of performing a task. And we also have 15 specific injuries, and all these injuries that were filed occurred on campus. The specific injuries are strains, fractures, bruises, and crush injuries. In the survey, we asked the BCP manager if their department was able to perform all essential critical functions remotely. 42% ranked their ability a level 4, meaning they were able to perform most of the functions with minor issues. We didn't ask for details as to why they were not able to perform their functions. However, with the information that we got, we presumed that part of the department's functions required to be performed on campus. It is also presumed that due to the nature of the quality participants' departments, they were not able to perform their functions remotely. We then asked them to rank their ability to implement new procedures for employees to perform essential or critical functions remotely. 44% had minor issues and 33% did not have any issues. Our quality participants were able to implement new procedures with few to no issues. The next question asked them to rank their ability to distribute the workload to others as necessary in order to maintain the department's essential critical functions. Level 4 and 5 ranked equally at 31%. They had minor to no issue to distribute workloads amongst their team. It is presumed that some of the possible difficulties to distribute the workload were the skill levels, the software issues, communication, and the current staff workloads. Finally, the final question is in regards to workload, asked if it was necessary to defer essential critical functions for 1 month or longer. And 81% of the people who responded said no, and 19 said yes.
So one of the things we found out is communication is key, especially during this pandemic. We were using various methods of communication to stay in touch with our employees. The question that was asked is, while working remotely, how did you remain in contact with your staff? Across the board, as you can see, email was number 1 by 100%, 98% utilized Zoom, and 82% used a phone. Microsoft Teams, Skype messaging, and Skype video were other means of communication. These methods not only help to track productivity, but it was also a way to ensure the well-being and inclusion of our employees. As well as our email, phone, and Zoom were also the top means of communication for our quality participants. Lastly, we asked what was the frequency of the department's staff to check in with their department head. We needed to define the semi-weekly, semi-monthly in order to help survey participants understand what we were asking. So that's how we defined semi-weekly as being twice a week and semi-monthly as twice a month. There was a 98% response to this question, 47 out of 49 replied. As you can see, 35% checked in daily, 24% checked in semi-weekly, 31% weekly, and 6% checked in semi-monthly. Our quality participants were also mixed daily, weekly, and semi-weekly. We also offered a comment box, and so we have a few that we wanted to share with you. The first one is our staff check-in frequency varies, but it is regular. Second one we have is we have staff check-ins via Teams daily and meet with Zoom weekly. And our last one is our staff check-ins consist of one-on-ones, department meetings, and virtual lunches. In conclusion, we were able to identify some of our business continuity plan hit and misses. Here are some of the takeaways we have. One of our misses is BCP strengths. Before the survey, we were not sure what each of our department's strengths were and where their shortfalls lie. and what further training we need to complete to in their BCP, if any. So the hit for that was this survey helped us to identify any shortfalls and strengths the department's plans through more in-depth training. As a university, we didn't have a current work from home procedure in place. So the work from home procedure was updated by HR and implemented campus-wide. We also learned during this time that people are resilient and are able to adapt quickly. The BCP didn't take in consideration the psychology of working remotely and how people are doing, how their state of mind is, the communication importance, and what equipment and space is needed for them to achieve their work day. So we offer numerous opportunities such as employee assistance, noontime wellness, and we also found that managers ensured constant communication with staff through various means of communication tools. Found too that institutional knowledge was prevalent through this. We found out that most of our work is routine, which reduced the idea of referring to our BCP. But what happens if the person responsible for this critical function is not available? We need to encourage departments to document critical functions and uploading their procedure manuals into the Sac State Ready system, our BCP system. This will direct others on how to perform the current function or the critical function or essential function for that department. We also, I'm going to go back to this, I missed one thing. We also need buy-in into the BC program to come from the department chairs, VPs, deans, provosts, and presidents. And that's one of the things that we're finding on our campus that's been a little difficult during this time. We also need a system to ensure faculty, staff, and students were following safety protocols as well as staying within the designated open buildings. So we implemented the Student Safety Ambassador Program to help reinforce safety protocols. One of the other great things that came out of this, it gave employment to students who lost jobs due to the current pandemic. Plus, I don't know if you see it or not, but they get these cool green vests and hats. Sadly, they have to return the vests when their job's done, but they still get to keep the hats. We also need a system to identify and approve the faculty and staff students entering campus buildings. This helped to ensure proper sanitation is being completed. So we created an online safety protocol system to identify and approve those seeking to enter the campus. We also created an online daily health check-in for students, faculty, staff, visitors, and contractors. That's offered through our website, our Sac State app, and then also our risk management website. As you see, the hits keep coming. We created, sorry, I just happened to laugh at the picture. We created a COVID-19 information web page to help our campus and community stay informed on the COVID numbers, safety protocols, Cal OSHA information, our safety tips, and also cool videos on how to wear masks. We provided PPE and sanitation supplies in bulk for employees through an online order form. This allowed offices, departments, and employees to be able to order face masks, shields, gloves, sanitizer, and disinfectant sprays from our Environmental Health and Safety office. We created and posted signage around the campus indicating safety protocols, including social distancing and face covering. We have over 40 freestanding signs that have been placed around the campus informing the face mask policy. Also, we placed gazillions of window decals regarding face masks, social distancing policies, as far as inline exits and entrances, all marked within every single building of our campus. And if you're curious, this is Macy, me, and our dog, Callie, my dog, Callie. So to sum it up, we have a copy of our business continuity survey questions that will be posted at the end of this presentation. And at this time, we'd like to open up for any questions that you may have regarding our presentation.
I've got a question for
Sure.
both of you. As you were going through this, talking about the different sort of modes of communication that folks reported on using, the email, Zoom, phone, Teams, etc. And earlier you were also talking about just the different connectivity elements, and you mentioned the university's network drive or shared drive.
Mhm.
So this is something that I've been thinking a little bit about recently at Suffolk too, and I'm kind of curious if you're finding this to be a challenge at your school, as over this past year, as folks got more and more familiar with all of these different tools that in many cases were already available, but they just never used them. But now everybody was using them, right? So everybody started using Zoom, folks started using Microsoft Teams. We always had the network drive, but folks were maybe utilizing that a little bit more, like they maybe always should have been. But I think one thing I'm seeing is that, there's always this excitement about, oh, a new tool, like shiny new object, I want to use this. And I think what I'm sensing from folks now is that, in all that excitement to just engage with these new resources and new tools, there wasn't necessarily a whole lot of thought that going into like, well, how exactly should I use each one of these things in a way that is sort of organized or makes sense? And maybe that's more relevant in terms of like document storage in particular. So like Teams versus like a network drive, or even, communicating via Teams versus Zoom chat versus email, which one and when and under what circumstances. And I'm just kind of curious if you're finding that to be, a challenge in some way to like just help folks make sense of how to best use all of the tools.
Sure. And I think for us, it's personal preference on Teams versus, I know let me step back just a half step. So for department meetings or moderate gatherings, we use Zoom on our campus. When it comes to one or two people meeting with another person, so a group of three, we will either use our Skype business video chat. Macy and I are constantly on chat. And then for things that have to deal with documents, depending on connection, Teams seems to be a little bit more stable than Skype business for those who are working in a more remote area with probably limited bandwidth. So it just truly depends on what works best for your office. But for us, it's been, like I said, Macy, our office tends to use Skype business video chat a lot. And then of course you have that instant messaging too.
Right. I think it also comes down to the navigation, or also how quick you can open up the app. For me, Skype is always there. It pops up the moment I log in. So I preferably go towards Skype. However, I do find that Teams is so much better when it comes to scheduling as well, because it automatically puts it onto your calendar, and which is a plus. So you don't have to do so many steps to put onto your schedule.
In Zoom, you have the limited, with us, we have to have a passcode to do a Zoom chat when it comes to our campus. And then going back to your idea, Tim, on the share drive, we found prior to, it's always been encouraged through our campus to put our documents on the share drive. And just kind of a personal story, a few years back, I don't know what happened, but I bumped my desktop and my hard drive crashed. They were able to pull some of my documents off of it, but since I was keeping everything on my share drive, it helped so much being able to retrieve stuff. I didn't lose hardly anything because of the fact that most of my documents are kept on share drive.
I have a question coming in here, Don. Can I go ahead and read it for you?
Oh, please do, Terry. Unless
Okay.
you have hot Cheetos.
I don't. I only have goldfish right now,
Okay.
cheddar goldfish. Sorry. And no
That's
chocolate
okay.
chip cookies, Macy. So here's the question. You alluded to a complete BCP. What determines a complete BCP?
Well, I guess that depends on, for us, it was having at least one to three critical functions listed and that section completed along with the rest of the BCP completed, or the questions within it. Obviously, it's not 100% complete, but it was something that our campus determined to be complete because we wanted to get our program rolling. This next year, we were going to go department by department, start working with them to get their critical functions all listed within there, so there wouldn't just be those three. Also, we wanted to work with them on how to cope, but since the pandemic, it's very difficult to get anyone to want to commit to working on their BCP at this time. We're just asking them now to document their information that they're running through or what they've had to do during this pandemic. And that's kind of what, the thought of the survey was, to get their minds thinking, what did we have to do in order to work from home? But I hope I answered your question on that.
Sounded good to me.
Okay.
There is another one, but why don't you see if there's any coming in? Did anybody else have questions? Okay, this one just came in. I'm hoping I'm understanding it correctly. It said, other than the updates you listed to the BCP, what else could be updated?
I think for us, it would be, Macy, let me just say one thing. Any notes on work from home order due to the pandemic? Macy, did you want to add to that?
I can't think. Sorry, Dawn. Go ahead.
Okay. Possibly policies or procedures that we need to put into place for being able to do critical functions remotely. Maybe communication procedures and what could be deferred and what could not, and what needed to be physically on campus in order to complete that critical function, or what can be done remotely. So it's just, a lot of it is just documentation on updates, and it could be a policy documentation as well.
Yeah, probably a lot of updates to policies and procedures, but I'd also add the asset list, if you don't mind me adding that. I think now, because the asset inventory has changed so substantially out there, I would say it's a really good time to put that in place if it's not already, and get it really updated with what's out there currently. Like you said, some laptops have been switched, desktops have been switched out for laptops. That changes your asset list, right? Just one example.
Oh yeah. Well, and I have to say, just for us, so 2 years ago, we updated we had the funds to be able to update our computers. And so we were looking at doing desktops, and we found out that it was only a couple $100 more to do a docking station and a laptop. And that was thankfully, Todd, our director of risk management, suggested, why don't we look into laptops? Because then that allowed us to be able to work from home. And when we went to Quality Days last year, we were able to take our computer, put it on in our hotel room, and do work in between sessions. So it not only helped us on the pandemic, but if we do any traveling, it gave us the ability to stay connected to our office.
I also want to add, dependencies. Before the pandemic, we think that we know who depends on us and who we depend on for our critical functions. But as we jump into the pandemic, we realized, oh, we depend more on other people than we thought we had. So that's another thing that update that people can do on their BCP.
And Terry, I also wanted to mention too, one of the functions that, or departments, some of the departments that we found that have functions that weren't deferrable on campus were payroll, facilities, custodial services, risk management, environmental health and safety, and administration. Those tend to be our top departments that had mission critical employees. And we did change our terminology from essential employees to mission critical. And a lot of that just kind of been the mentality, or not mentality, but just the mental status. Are we a mission critical or essential? All employees are essential, but are they mission critical to be able to move to complete the day-to-day on campus? And so that's the reason why we're trying to switch over that terminology. And I think that a lot of HR's departments are using that terminology versus essential.
Don, I appreciate you saying that. I agree 100% that term essential became such a bad word because we had so many staff who were like, what do you mean I'm not essential? What does that mean? And I like the mission critical kind of label, for lack of better terms, so much better, because we really found there was just a lot of people really not understanding what their place was and how that impacted. So, you know, we kind of swung to on campus or remote, but I like your mission critical title a bit better. So
you could use it.
Thank you.
Sure. It's not patented. It's not copyrighted. So in our chat, there is a link to our questions that we use. So we used a software, online software. It's free. It's called Cognito Forms, and we have it through our Maxit, which is our learning management system. So they create an account, and we're able to use them to create our forms with. And so that kind of gave us the ability to send this information out and have everyone fill out the form, gave us an Excel database afterwards to be able to pull through and work our data. But the questions that we asked are on that PDF. So it gives you a chance to at least see what we did if you want to emulate some of them, or print it and burn it, whatever you feel like doing.
Don, did you all address at all contracted services staff, like if you've outsourced your custodial operations or a food service operation or anything like that, how you included those kind of non-university staff, but they are mission critical staff, and how they played in getting that information and communicating to them? And if you did encounter that, even, you know, getting them access to campus when you may have some buildings that are closed down, but they need to physically be there.
I did not address it, and that wasn't in our questionnaire, but from my understanding, there was not very many outside. I don't think we outsourced anything, especially facilities. We have a pretty big facilities team. A lot of our food entities were closed due to the pandemic. I don't know, Todd, are you on here? Okay, I was hoping Todd was on here because he might have. Todd, if you could just kind of, can you answer that question at all?
Todd, you may still be on mute. We can't hear you. It's like you came off mute though.
He could have stepped away too, but yeah, I'm sorry, Missy. I don't have that
he has
answer.
mic issues.
His dog probably ate the mic. She's a cutie. But no, as far as I know, the majority of our staff that was on campus were our staff. Not a lot of outside vendors, other than what vendors that we typically would have, and that would be waste,
Hazardous waste pickup.
hazardous waste
Yeah.
pickup, which probably wasn't very much due to the class fact that I think we had about 17% of our courses that were taught on campus. Everything else went online. And just real quickly, I think our campus did a great job on moving our coursework, the majority of our coursework online very quickly. At the very start of the pandemic, when we had our work from home order, President Nelson, who was our president of Sac State, did a fantastic job just notifying, keeping us, our campus, notified as to what was going on. We would have started off as daily emails and then every other day. And every time information that needed to be brought out or sent out, he was on top of it. We never were really left guessing. And then I think for us, we were very fortunate, and hopefully Todd can't hear me, but our department has been very great in communication, starting from Gary Rosenblum, who is our Associate Vice President of Risk Management Services. And then we have Todd Dangut, who is our Director of Risk Management. The communication between everyone has been consistent. So I think that's what's helped us. Oh shoot, you can hear me.
I can hear you now.
That's what has helped us stay focused and stay feeling valuable. And I think that's the biggest thing, is the communication, because it helps bring that self-value when your managers and department leads are in constant communication.
I'm sorry for your question. I apologize. I came to the office. I mean, the technology office is much worse than my home. So it's kind of an odd thing now that I'm so used to working at home. But I think there was a question.
So Missy, do you mind repeating your question?
No, Todd, I was asking when you all were going through and identifying your mission critical staff, did you have any contracted services such as, a custodial or a food service, for example, that really were mission critical to continuing the operations, that you had to figure out how to include them in the plans you were making for identifying mission critical functions or services, and physically being able to get those people on campus to do their job?
Right. Overall, the only thing that changed is we actually made sure that they had safety plans in place. So majority, all of our custodial is on campus. They're within our facilities. But anything we had in contract, we changed it to make sure that they had a safety plan as they came in. As a matter of fact, I think John mentioned it in his presentation that they did a health screening. We have one for contractors as well. So they would do a health screening before they came in, just so that they can verify that, they don't have a fever, or they haven't been around anybody that may have COVID, those type of things. And we get those notices. It was the only way to really control that situation. But as far as food services, we starved everybody. Actually, we didn't have a requirement for that. And as far as janitors, yeah, it was all facilities. But as far as contractors, if they need to be on campus, again, the contract stayed in place, just changed a little bit to add the COVID language.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure.
I have a quick question, Don, and with Todd on the line, maybe he can help you and Macy answer this. But I'm curious, in addition to the things that you mentioned with the BCP policies and procedures and work from home orders and other things like that, what did you and the risk department change or do differently based on what you learned from the pandemic? What are you doing differently now?
Longer naps.
Yeah. Don't tell me that, Don.
Oh.
So
you should all tell us where we can fit those in.
Yeah, seriously. For us, what we notice is that for classes, for off-campus internships, I think those were our biggest ones. That one of the things we weren't doing before was we weren't really reviewing the safety features of these internships, any off-campus or face-to-face issues. And we saw a lot of other issues other than pandemic protection come up that we needed to protect against. So for instance, let's say driving, right? Were they stipend staff? Did they have defensive driving? Those type of things. We saw these things start to pop up because we didn't really track these things before. So now we're thinking, okay, well, maybe we need to go ahead and start tracking it as we go forward without the pandemic in order to protect the campus, because of course our coverages are all there, but to reduce liability, it's good to know what these field trips are doing, what you know, and what these internships are doing. And that's just the short end of it. I mean, there are others as well. But yeah, that's something that we're probably going to change. And as far as the ambassadors, I love having the ambassadors. You know, we have a no smoking, no on-campus bicycle in certain areas. You can't ride your bike or skateboards. And of course, students break those rules all the time, and people fall down and people get run over, other than branches falling on. And I think going forward, I think the ambassadors, while it provides jobs, is a great idea to manage that issue. I hate going out there, although Macy's really good at telling people to get off their bike. She's certainly an authority. Don, not so much, but yeah, it would be good to, but anyways, what my point is that with everything we've seen, and it's a good thing about the pandemic, if there is a silver lining, is that we saw some weaknesses in those areas. And hopefully we can continue to manage that.
And we also are hoping too that with the pandemic, that the urgency or at least more feel of urgency to review and update business continuity, and just to have the idea of this is an important document. It's not just something that you have to do because the executive order from the chancellor's office 1014 says we have to do it, or the governor said we had to do it as a state agency, or WASC says that we have to do it as part of a accreditation policy. So it's more of, even though it's a policy or a procedure that we have to do, it's something that is something we need to do in order to move forward and understand what it is that needs to take place in order for us to be able to work from home, or even work remotely from another office or building. If a pipe breaks in our office and we're out for 4 weeks, what do we do? What supplies do we need? What equipment do we need to be able, or what desks do we need to be able to do our job effectively? And how do we do that with, you know, minimal effort? If it's documented, we're able to do it. If it's not, then it just becomes another pain in our side.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that improved that we saw with the pandemic is that the president mandated communication through risk management. And so our communication actually improved with the provost's office and other departments because they had to check in. So we got to really find out more about what they're doing and their needs. So that actually improved quite a bit. And hopefully we can keep it up.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big task. All right, then we are right at the hour. I want to thank you very much, Don, Macy, and Todd. Thanks so much for the great presentation. I want to remind everybody that up next, we'll take a 15-minute break, and we do have Dr. Jones. If you were able to catch his keynote yesterday, that was a great keynote presentation that he did for us. He's coming up next with the topic of your resilience posture, so quantifying your resilience posture. So come on back and join us for that one. And thanks all for joining. Thanks again, Don and Macy.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.